Hello, folks. Welcome to Heard It Here First. I'm your special guest host, Daniel Chancellor, alongside the content creator for Heard It Here First, Gerald Garza. This is your Central Texas showcase of premier talent. We're looking forward to breaking down a few districts here in the Central Texas region. And we're going to start things off with District 25, 6A, out of Region 4. Got Vandergrift, McNeil, Manor Mustangs. That's with the new redistricting happening with the UIL. This district's actually changed up a little bit. Manor Mustangs, Round Rock Dragons, Stony Point Tigers, the Hutto Hippos, Round Rock Westwood, Cedar Ridge Raiders, and the Vista Ridge Rangers. Love that they put those two teams together in this district. So you can say those names back to back.
Yeah.
Talk to me about 26-5A or 25-6A. Excuse me. It's been, you and I are very familiar with this district. It's kind of the sister district to 26-6A.
Absolutely.
We broadcast in. And we always, no matter where we end up, we always end up usually facing one of these teams if we can make it to the playoffs. So you have it set up pretty, I think, for the most part, the only surprise for me is number 2.
Well, here's the thing. Okay, so, of course, I'm going to go with Vandergrift first. Vandergrift, what Drew Sanders had, what he's done over there. 2 years ago, they went to the state title game. They lost at state. Last year, I believe they lost in the first round to Lake Travis.
Right.
So that's our stuff, you know what I mean? But Vandergrift and Drew Sanders have been a phenomenal, they're a 6A force to reckon with. But Scott Herms in the McNeil Mavericks, Scott Herms comes off of Drew Sanders' coach's tree. This is his 5th year at McNeil, and we have been familiar.
Yeah.
And let me tell you something, Bobby Holland was a hoss. Watch out for Marshall Holland. Marshall Holland, his brother, that was a sophomore last year, the linebacker. Holy moly. And then not only that, they got Jarrell Gary, that played quarterback, ended up going to wide receiver. And their and Joshua Williams, the OU commit.
Yep.
And he's been on their running back since a sophomore. So I have Vandergrift, and then I have McNeil. What's going to stun some right here is that I am going to take the Manor Mustangs at 3rd. Coach James Keller and what they're doing over there. Now, luckily for me, I have had the privilege of watching these guys in 7-on-7.
Sure.
Defense wins championships. This dude, they got a great defense with the Godley brothers playing the linebacker and end. They got Chelmo, who's their middle linebacker, but who's really impressed me is Israel Lawrence. And I don't have all of their names, but whenever I'm watching them on 7-7, those dudes communicate. They talk. Their defense is on point. People aren't getting over most of that secondary, but I had already seen their front 7 last year. So I know, and they're returning almost all their defense. So offensively, they're searching for their identity. Camden Huff, who this is not biased at all, or it's completely biased all the way. Either way it wants to go. The thing is that, in all honesty, I watched Camden work. And I mean, that's the dude that's doing it all the time. I've interviewed a lot of kids this year, and DeAndre, who's one of my favorite kids of all time, DeAndre Stevens, he said, I take a little break in the offseason and I want to be a kid. And I look at Camden and I'm like, maybe you should take a break. Because Camden is out there all the time, 5 days a week.
That's what makes a champion. It's what you do in the off season and what you do in your off time. If you really have off time, that makes you that champion.
Yeah, and Camden is like literally the prime example of, if that's the kid who's watching film, that's the kid who's out there quarterback drills 8 days a week, type stuff. Maybe even 9. So Camden is a really good leader. Then they bring in Jordan Clark. Jordan Clark is going to be a phenomenal athlete. They got great wide receivers in Eddie and Johnny. I apologize, I don't know y'all's last name yet. And I really see Manor 4th. I'm going to take the Round Rock Dragons. Here's the thing. It's a 19th district.
Yeah.
Super tough. The Round Rock is going to be returning a lot of their defensive starters. And not only that, Justin Lee, I watched that linebacker. He's a 4-star linebacker. That dude's outrageous. Aiden Walker is a great defensive back that had like 3-4 interceptions last year.
Sure.
And so this district's going to be tough. Right behind that, I have Stony Point, then Hutto, then Round Rock, Cedar Ridge, and Vista Ridge. Here's the deal. I have Stony Point beating Manor in the regular district.
Okay.
I have Round Rock beating Stony Point and Hutto and losing to Manor. But then I have Hutto upsetting Stony Point to knock them out of the playoffs.
Gotcha.
And so Round Rock will beat Stony Point and Hutto, but lose to Manor. Stony Point will beat Manor, but lose to Round Rock and Hutto.
So even regardless of your rankings right now, I know you got your top four locked in, but do you see anybody in that bottom five that could possibly be a sneak in and just maybe upset things?
Stony Point.
Yeah.
Easily. Stony Point is.
They seem to find a way in, and they've got a really good athletic program, and they seem to find their way in just about, I'd say, at least half or more of their athletic programs.
They were number 19 in the nation in basketball last year.
Right.
2014 through 2016. Okay, so the head coach that's at Little River right now was the offensive coordinator back then, and that's whenever they were going almost made it to state. They took Stony Point to the furthest they have ever been.
Sure.
And they haven't really missed a beat. And Kenneth Calbus is going to be the quarterback over there that is really, man, he was a sophomore last year. The dude can throw the rock. And so Stony Point's scary. Stony Point is scary. And even Hutto, Will Compton and what he's done over there. The thing is that what I really like about Hutto is that that's the only team that I've seen in my lifetime go from 1A to 6A.
Yeah.
And do it at every level.
Mm-hmm.
At every single level, be prosperous. So Hutto could spoil some things. And that's the thing is, like, honestly, Vista Ridge was third last year. Coach Chad Scott is always ready. So you don't know. After, I feel McNeil and Vandergrift are the only locks. After that, it's going to be some great football.
I'm surprised by the McNeil pick. I'm extremely familiar with Scott Herms and his program. He's this year will be the first year that Del Valle and McNeil have not faced each other in 11 seasons.
Yeah.
They've at one point it was tied four games apiece, and then the last two seasons McNeil took the wins, right? So they had the lead in an unofficial rivalry with Del Valle. But watching what they do throughout the season because you keep track, you kind of watch to who, hey, okay, they beat us. I want to see what they do throughout the season,
Absolutely.
Right? McNeil has always been like, you see them falling just a little bit short. So to see them all of a sudden be in your second hole, that's a pretty big jump.
We talk about watching them, the other district. You take a look over there. Last year, I watched Manor beat Bowie, and I was like, all right. Bowie comes in, loses to Austin, first game of district.
That's true.
I said, Del Valle's going to get in there. and sure enough, Bowie does what it does, and they went on a tear and made it in as the fourth seed. So, I mean, I'm with you on that. But, yeah, I have a really good – in his fifth year, Scott Herms and McNeil are going to be competing against Vandergrift.
We'll see.
Mark my words.
We'll see.
You heard it here first.
Let's switch gears a little bit. We're going to stay in the same region, but we'll go to District 13 4A. This district consists of the Austin Archive HC, Austin Eastside High School, Austin Northside Reagan, Manor New Tech, Austin Travis, the Taylor Ducks, and of course, rounding things out, the LBJ Jaguars. This is one of those regions that are one of these districts, in my opinion, at least for the last 2, 3, maybe even 4 seasons, kind of a lock who's going to be number one.
Yeah.
Especially the last 2.
Yeah.
I would definitely say this year you've got your pick for number one, a lock again.
Yeah. Well, see, what Joseph Rawls has done over there for the LBJ Jaguars has been, he's only been, I think this is his third year. Last year was his second year. And the thing is that Ali Scott, Caleb Crenshaw, Trey Small, these guys have been on varsity since freshmen.
Right.
They have built on. Caleb Crenshaw is liable to have a 2,000-yard rushing season.
That would be
I'm telling you, Caleb Crenshaw is the truth.
Okay.
And Ali Scott is a dang good quarterback. And then I saw Trey Small. Trey Small is not big. He's not a big dude, but he lives up to his name. But that dude plays like he's 6'4", man, and they got a really good defense. I wouldn't doubt if we see LBJ in the state semifinals, maybe even state.
Talk to me about the Taylor Ducks. You've got them locked in at number 2. Again, some good returners coming back for that team as well.
Hey, Dreas Fisher, I was showing you his highlights. That dude is Tutu Fisher is phenomenal. Lucky enough for me, I got to meet with Keezy and Simeon, and I know his father real well. I know Keezy or got to meet Keezy, stand-up guy. I think he'll definitely be in competition for an all-district season himself. And Irvin Flowers and Coach Button, they're both Division I athletes that are coaches now. And One was underneath Texas Tech's Mike Leach. No, not Mike Leach. God dang it. The Hall of Famer that's not the Hall of
I know
Famer.
who you're talking about. I know you're talking about.
And they'll come to me. And then not only that, Kentucky and Coach Flowers played at Kentucky. And so they have that coaching from the next level.
Basically the ground up.
Yeah. So they know it. And those two dudes, last year they went 5-5. I got Taylor going 8-2 this year. 8-2. They'll lose one preseason game, and they'll lose one district game to LBJ.
LBJ, I was about to say, yeah. In your third spot, you've got Austin Travis with head coach Joe Martinez. Break this one down a little bit for me. You've got a lot of the offense highlighted.
Yeah, well, Jordan Davis, Frank Christensen, and Benicio Rodriguez. First and foremost, Joe Martinez is an awesome coach. I got to check into some of his interviews. Whenever I was doing my research. That dude, he even put it in the newspaper. He was like, "We need resources. Why do all these other guys get this? Why don't we get that?" He fights for his team. He's been there for a long time. And it's a division, or it's a district that I'm not too familiar with. So I had to do a lot of research on this. But honestly, I think Austin Travis, Joe Martinez, and these returning offense, he's got a lot more on the offense returning. I think they will take number 3. I think LBJ will blow everyone out besides Taylor. I think they might beat Taylor by 17 points, though. I'm not even lie. They're that good. And then Taylor will blow everybody out. And then right here in this third through 7, we're going to see some tough. But I got Austin Travis taking number 3 for sure.
Manor New Tech head coach Derek Lewis sits in your 4th spot. And then you got Austin Reagan, essentially, Austin Archive, and then Austin Eastside. That 4th spot feels like that could possibly be Reagan, if not just Manor New Tech.
It's open. Yeah. It is open, but this is what I like about Derek Lewis. Derek Lewis also, what I like about coaches is the coaches that know the game, don't just know the game from the view, they've played it too. And I want to say Derek Lewis is the all-time leading Austin Wrangler receiver. I want to say I saw that.
Yeah, that sounds right.
And so Derek Lewis, and not only that, he's played at the next level. He knows the game. He actually came from Austin Achieve. He came from one of these other teams, and then he goes over to Manor New Tech. And what he was doing with the struggling program over there, then he goes over to New Tech. And I was also able to watch them in 7-on-7 because Manor New Tech, Taylor. I was able to get a little summer action on some of these schools. And I think, don't get me wrong, Abdul Mustafa and Reagan or Austin Northeast, they're fighting back. But I think Manor New Tech's going to edge this one out. But if I had to go with anyone, it would definitely be Reagan's going to be fighting them for that 4th spot.
You've got some good ball players at Austin Achieve and Austin Eastside, but they're just in situations, unfortunately, that kind of keep them at that bottom of the list.
And they've struggled for a little bit now, and these 3 teams, the games between them are dang good.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're dang good, and then unfortunately they get in there, and then you play LBJ or Taylor, and it's a different story. So and the Taylor Ducks are, not only did they make that transition into 4A pretty good and be able to make the playoffs, but this year, even though that their quarterback position isn't set in stone yet, I have enough faith in those 2 coaches right there alone to know that Taylor's going to go pretty good and pretty far this year.
All right, let's jump to Region 3. We're going to talk District 11 3A football. This district is a 16 district. We have Little River Academy. We got the Rockdale Tigers. We've got Cameron Yeoman. We've got the Troy Trojans, McGregor Bulldogs, and the Franklin Lions. This one, I will admittedly say, I don't know a whole lot about 3A ball in the area, which I know there's a lot of good ball being played at 1A all the way up to 6A.
Right.
But these, unfortunately, you see the not 4A so much.
Yeah.
But 3A, 2A, 1A kind of get overshadowed by those 4, 5, and 6As. But you're missing out on some good football if you don't pay attention.
I'm trying to tell you, and that's what this show's for.
Sure.
Is absolutely. To highlight our 3A, to highlight our Cameron Yeoman, our Rockdale Tigers, or the Franklin Lions. They don't need much to highlight. Mark Fannin and what he's done over there, those dudes are phenomenal. But to bring out that 3A ball, hey man, there might be ball at this other level, and of course it's fun to watch. But when you get to those small school hometown games, the Battle of the Bells,
Yeah.
that type of game, oh man, it's dirty. Those atmospheres are so awesome, man. I love it.
Yep. Yep. And you get a lot of potential D1 talent out of those smaller schools.
Yeah.
That's why you can't overlook them. You can't overlook them at all. Let's talk about your number one spot. You just mentioned the Franklin Lions. You do have them locked in at number one. They only lost, or they lost their state at state last year. You see them making that, obviously, that repeat to state.
Remember when I showed you Jaden Jackson?
I do remember very well.
I see them going back to state and winning. I see them going back to state and winning.
They did lose a close one, 14-7, only one position game.
Yeah, and Malakoff, and the thing is like, before I even made that prediction, if Franklin was going to go and win state, I was looking, and I mean Malakoff's returning almost the same amount as Franklin, so I expect to see both of them back in there, and it's going to be a game where Mark Fannon's already seen them once, and now he's coming for revenge, and Franklin Lyon edges them off. Probably, I'm going to give them a little bit more gap than that one. I'm thinking it'll be more like a 17-7.
All right. Let's talk about Cameron Yeoman. You've got them locked in at second. Aaron Babino.
I did.
Oh, you did?
So here's the deal.
Where's my pen? I got to make an edit.
Here's the deal. I should have told you that.
No, it's okay.
So Little River Academy is actually number 8 in state. I had Aaron Babineau and the Cameron Yeoman at second. But Cameron goes to Academy to play, though. And I've been to Academy personally. We've watched the Rockdale game. It's a tough atmosphere to play in.
Yeah.
And honestly, I'm going to switch it up. I'm taking Little River at number 2, Mike Mullins. It was Mike Mullins who was coaching at Stony Point.
Right.
And his offensive mind. And not only that, Kavili Neely had 22 rushing touchdowns. Like him and Jaden Jackson go hand in hand. You wouldn't want both those dudes on the same team.
No.
And so I'm actually going to take Little River at second.
Okay.
We're going to
put Cameron here first.
Yeah, we're going to put Cameron. We'll put Cameron at third.
All right.
But Cameron meets back up with Little River and beats them in the playoffs. And then to go to the fourth round and lose to Franklin.
Oh, okay. All right. So switch them. Little River going to fall in at second. Cameron Yeoman at third. And then you've got your Rockdale Tigers.
You're dang right I do.
You're Rockdale
You're dang
Tigers.
right I do.
Number 4 under head coach Hunter Hamrick. Talk to me about them.
They counted us out, dude. Like, they're like, oh, they're not even going to be.
Counted us out.
Yeah. They were like, Rockdale's not even they're going to be last in district. And don't get me wrong, because whenever I went and started looking at the Troy Trojans, Reed Ketchum, Joseph McCurdy threw 25 touchdowns. Ketchum caught 16 of them.
Right.
They're returning
but you
all
kind of
their team.
become a metric team when you have those two connections.
Absolutely. So what I say
it's
is
a little easier to defend.
Yeah, you get DeAndre Stevens on them at corner, but man, or Bubba Wilson, Rashay Wilson, you put him locked down with one of those two cornerbacks with help over the top. We're gonna double team that dude all day. We got AJ Sandoval coming off the edge, and then we have Zacoby at DT. I think Rockdale's defense is what's really going to kind of carry them this year. And DeAndre Stevens, that's my dude, man. Like, if you have that guy on your roster, you ain't coming in last place. I'm telling you that right now. Rockdale will not be in last place. They will make the playoffs as the 4th seed. Not only that, they host Troy.
Okay.
So they get to host Troy. Now, I have them. They have gone 3-7 for the last 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
The last time they had a 500 or winning record was when my nephew was a senior 2 years ago, over 2 years ago. Rockdale goes 5-5.
Okay.
On the season, goes 2-3 in the district, but makes it as the 4th seed. Unfortunately, a first round exit to Columbus.
All right. We're going to close things with this final.
Oh, which one are we on? I'm sorry.
We're on ours, baby.
Oh, yeah. Here we go.
So here it is. We're going to close things off with the show with the district that the coach, Gerald Garza, and I broadcast in. We are the broadcast crew for the Del Valley Cardinals on the Cardinal Sports Network. And
hit that like and subscribe on the Cardinal Network.
Absolutely. Check it out on YouTube. You can't miss it. It's a lot of fun to watch. This is what we talked about a couple of interviews back, or how this is one of the toughest, one of the top 5, at least top 5 districts in this state. You've got this year we dropped from a 9-team district to a 7-team, which opens things up in the quote-unquote preseason, thankfully, for just about every team on this district, but especially for our Del Valley Cardinals. You've got the Austin High Maroons, the Bowie Bulldogs, our Del Valley Cardinals, Dripping Springs Tigers, Lake Travis Cavaliers, Westlake Chaparrals, and the Aikens Eagles. And it seems like I could set the paper down because we always talk about Westlake and Lake Travis either being 1 and 2 respectively or flip flop on one of the. Westlake has come in on top the last 2 years.
Dripping Springs has taken second from Lake Travis 2 years in a row.
And I'm pretty sure Lake Travis is happy to have, well, not really, but a smaller district, but you still got to deal with Dripping Springs. So Lake Travis, not quite the team we are used to seeing in this district. Westlake continuing to do phenomenal things under Tony Salazar after head coach, help me out.
I know.
Retired.
Yeah, he actually came out of retirement. He's coaching this year.
Oh, where?
I can't think of it. Todd Dodge.
Yeah, Todd Dodge. Yes,
and he's
UT quarterback.
Yeah, and he's actually some high school in the Dallas area.
Westlake.
He came back out.
How many eyebrows went up at Westlake when he came out of retirement?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
He's back.
So Westlake, Lake Travis usually always 1 and 2.
Yeah.
So 3rd and 4th, I think this year are the biggest question marks.
Yeah.
Maybe not 3rd as much as 4th, but I still think 3rd is a possible question mark.
Yeah.
Talk to me. You've got Westlake locked in at 1st this year. Tony Salazar, I think, is phenomenal. If anybody could have got the job at Westlake, I'm really glad that it was him. He was the defensive coordinator there. Dodge, I think, groomed him to take his spot. Him up. And I was really glad that Westlake stayed in-house. Yeah. That being said, talk to me about these Westlake Chaparrals this year.
So I'm about to surprise the state of Texas.
Okay. All right.
Westlake don't make first this year.
Ooh.
Westlake doesn't make first. It's going to be a transition this year. We're going to see different football this year. You heard it here first. Tony Salazar, don't get me wrong. I have a lot of faith in Reese Weiss. He's a really great quarterback. That was a sophomore last year that went and actually took the senior starting spot. And so that tells you a lot about Weiss. They're returning a lot of the guys in the trenches, but they're missing a lot of athletes. Of course, we know it's the next man up. But here's what I feel. Lake Travis has gone to 3rd place 2 years in a row. Mm-hmm. Dripping Springs defense has really helped them out. And then Maddox Maher and Jack Tyndall are phenomenal offensively. They don't have that help no more on defense. Hank Carter and the Lake Travis Cavaliers. Carter Buck was a sophomore last year that ended up making it. There's only 2 sophomores that made the all-district. Carter Buck was one of them. The other one, your own Del Valley's Michael Dent.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Easton Air, that linebacker. You've got Gustavo Cordova, the defensive end that was an All-State. Cameron Chance Brooks, defensive back All-State. Defensively, Westlake thinks that what I was reading is that Westlake, because of all the what I say hog mollies, the big dudes in the trenches. I said, well, Lake Travis got a little bit more defensively than you do on your trenches. And so I think Hank Carter is fed up of it. I think Hank Carter and they host Westlake.
Sure.
So that has a lot to do with it.
And it was only a 1-possession game last year.
Yeah, so 14-7. Yeah. And then the playoffs, it was 21-14.
Yep.
So it's only been 1 touchdown, which literally feels like a home field advantage switch to me. You know what I mean?
Interesting. That's
interesting. So you go over to Lake Travis, they're ticked off because Dripping Springs done beat them twice in a row, and they were supposed to be second. And then Westlake done beat you twice in a row. They're not having it this year. Lake Travis Cavaliers take 1st place in the district and then lose to Westlake in the playoffs.
That's all right, though. I like it. It creates a little drama in 26-6.
I think it's going to be like the same as Cameron, where Cameron loses to Academy, but then they beat them in the playoffs. I think it'll be the same thing here.
Number 3 hole, you've got the Dripping Springs Tigers under head coach Galen Zimmerman, again, making the playoffs in 26-6A. That, again, is surprising to me because you have Bowie sliding in at 5th. Don't bring up 4th just yet. I feel like Bowie and Dripping Springs are obviously fighting for that 3rd and 4th place spot.
Yeah, for sure.
You having Bowie finishing 5th and outside the playoffs for the first time in
forever.
Yeah,
at least probably 6-7 years.
At least, it's been close to a decade.
Yeah,
that's probably the biggest prediction for me in this district.
Yeah, people are going to call me.
I hope so.
They're going to call me.
How did you know?
Yeah. So here's the deal: Dripping Springs and Galen Zimmerman, and that program is phenomenal. And they're such an awesome. And I love going to their house. That was my favorite game to broadcast away. Their booth is so beautiful, and they gave us the chicken too. So that was awesome. So the chicken was awesome. But Galen Zimmerman, Dripping Springs, and Jack Tyndall. Jack Tyndall, out of everybody in this district, Jack Tyndall is that dude. Even if they do drop to third, I feel Jack Tyndall will be the district MVP.
Okay.
Because we're riding on Jack Tyndall. We know Jack Tyndall, and he's been starting as a sophomore, and he's been all district. I want to say both of those years. I see not only Jack Tyndall being the all district, but we'll see him on Saturday. Maddox Maher and Cooper Reed, they had a year to groom themselves between each other. Cooper Reed was a sophomore. Maddox Maher's first year starting. Now they got some chemistry, but they graduated literally like 9 out of their 11 starters on defense. And whenever you're playing Lake Travis and Westlake, it's not going to be enough. So I got them going third, and they'll have another successful season. And as they groom all these defensive players, give them about 2 or 3 more years. Because remember, I had them going to state this year.
Sure.
I was like, oh, when Jack Tyndall's a senior, they'll win state. And then I was looking and I said, well, they ain't got no defense. So maybe not this year, but Dripping Springs is going to definitely be a powerhouse.
Let's talk about that 4th place spot. I won't say name just yet, but this is a team that they're looking at a new offensive coordinator. These are, I think, positive changes. I think
Absolutely.
Coach Houston last year was a great addition.
So fiery. I love his coaching style.
Unfortunately, for us, he just decided it was time to go somewhere else, so he's gone. And then they bring in Coach Atkins, right?
Yeah.
You've got 2 or at least 1 true quarterback for this team, possibly 2 if Leon G stays at the quarterback position. He's been playing linebacker and doing really well at it.
Yeah.
You've got Freddie Thomas coming back, who's come off a full season of injury.
Yeah.
You've got a wide receiver core that's hurting a little bit with possible exits, but still being backed up well by Meeks and Thomas. Help me out. Pinkley.
Yeah. Noah Creighton.
But I think for this team, obviously you haven't figured it out by the names we're calling out, their defense is probably, in my opinion, their defense is going to be the biggest highlight of this year. A lot like last year, but not under the same conditions. Last year they had to be the highlight of the team. They had to try to get the offense in any position they could to help them score. This year it's going to be feeding off the offense and the success they have. You've got 4th place to go into Del Valle.
You dang right. I got
Cardinals, baby. Obviously,
we're going to see. So all of the teams that I covered this year, Manor, Taylor, Cameron, Rockdale, Del Valle, are going to the playoffs this year.
Okay.
Del Valle, and I kind of have them as like with Rockdale, they're like 5-5, maybe even 6-4, but they'll be at 500 or above, which is going to be a huge transition for both of those programs. That was 3-7, 1-9.
1-9.
We're looking at 5-5 for. I'm thinking on both of these. I think Del Valle goes 6-4. I think they win 3 pre-district games. I think they win 3 district games.
All right.
And I think we go 6-4. I think Alex Marcantoni, and like you said, I think our offense is going to be a lot more reliable, which is going to give that defense that break, because it was 3 and outs, and then they're back out there dragging tongue.
I remember us looking at the stats at halftime, and you're looking at 44 minutes for the first half, and in that 44 minutes, our defense was on the field 28.
Yeah.
In one game.
Yeah.
I think they were on the field 32 in one game. It's just you're going to be the best in shape and strongest defense by the end of the season, but you're also going to be an exhausted defense.
Yeah.
This year, it's not good. They're going to be big and strong like they were last year, but they're not going to be exhausted. So this is going to make things a lot more interesting for Del Valle.
And we are returning those all-district players, but we don't have, or not yet, not saying we don't, but I'm not familiar with the depth behind it.
Sure.
You know what I mean? We don't have as many returners there. And like you said about the receiving core, what I like about them is that we're quick and we're experienced. And not only that, Mark Antoni sat there for a whole year. Even though he was on JV, I know he was building chemistry. I know he was practicing with these dudes. They're going to go out there first night, 5 touchdowns, 3 passing, 2 rushing. We're about to go in there,
Cedar Creek takes an L on the first week of the season, huh?
First week of the season, and these Dove Valley Cardinals might end up. I got them at 6-4. Here's the thing. This is going to be the crazy part. Coleman Patman ends the year only with 2 interceptions.
But both for pick sixes.
Both pick sixes. Pick sixes.
Yeah.
And both in preseason.
Okay.
And everybody says, "All right, stop throwing it that way."
Check.
And so his district is going to be really quiet, which speaks volumes of who he is.
Oh,
I think his district game is going to be really quiet because everybody's going to stay away from him. But there's going to be a couple of silly guys test him in the preseason. We're going to see 2 pick sixes on the year out of Coleman Patman.
After 2 win seasons and last year finishing 1-9, I think our Dove Valley Cardinals are probably in. I want to be that homer and put them in that 4th place spot like you do.
Yeah.
I think they're going to fall to 5.
Yeah.
But it's going to be such a big improvement this year for the Dove Valley Cardinals. They're barely going to miss the playoffs. They're going to have their heads hung up high because they're going to see how much better they can perform this year. Next year, I think I see them going into the playoffs.
I think what kind of switched what makes me so confident is that they have those games first.
Yeah.
Before they get anything that can demoralize them, a big loss against Westlake, stuff like that. They're going to come in 3-1 off the preseason, and then they're going to realize that they can play ball.
Shoulders back.
Yeah. Hey, let's go. And then they're going to go out there, and then they're going to crack 2 more wins, and then they'll go on that 3-game losing streak against Westlake, Lake Travis, Dripping Springs, and then they'll kick Aikens, and we're going to be in the playoffs. And then me and you are going to be calling Dell Valley playoff football game this year.
In November. I like it.
In November.
This has been fun, man. You had a good time?
I had a blast, dude. Honestly, I forgot we were even recording sometimes, so I had to watch what I'm saying because I started going into homeboy mode, like, all right, this is what we're talking about. It's like, oh, no, be professional.
No, it's fun.
So,
guys, listen. Hit the subscribe button, hit that like button for this guy on this. Heard it here first. He's a ton of knowledge. He loves doing his research. And if you want to get familiar with Central Texas football, this is your guy right here. Heard it here first. Gerald Garza, your content creator for this podcast. It's been a pleasure being his guest host today. Hope you enjoyed it as well.
You took my job. Because when you were introing it, I was like, maybe I should just get his voice and do that for my intro. Guys, thank y'all so much for tuning in. Chance, thank you so much, dude. I'm ready to go for some playoff football this year. Guys,
1 week away for kickoff. Let's do it.
You heard it here first. Daniel, the voice chancellor, Gerald Garza here. Y'all have a blessed evening, guys. That was super fun.
That was long.